Yo, what's up, my pineapple peeps? It's Shablambo here. Welcome back to episode 6 of How Do You Feel About That? Today I'm joined by Tom Murphy and Rick Yarish. Did I pronounce that right?
Good enough.
Alright. So today we're gonna learn a little bit about these two. So could you tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Well, his name is Tom,
His name is Rick.
and that's it. That's all you need to know about us.
Alright.
Rick, what's my real name?
Tim.
No.
Tommy.
Mr.
Tommy. No, never.
Mr.
Not happening.
Incredible.
Yeah, he can't get me to. He can't pay me enough to say that.
This is
Mr.
retired-
Incredible?
This is retired Deadpool.
That's right. Yes.
Oh, okay.
When Deadpool can't fight crime anymore, he'll be like me, fat and out of shape, and sitting on a couch.
No, seriously, man. We're from an organization called Sweethearts and Heroes. We mess around way too much because we believe that people, kids especially, like to have fun. And I always tell educators taking fun out of education might be called abuse. So we like to have way too much fun, but we're from an organization called Sweethearts and Heroes, www.sweetheartsandheroes.com. I'm sure you'll have that on the screen somewhere.
Yeah.
Anyway, we go across the country. We've been from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, to Houston, Texas, to Hawaii. Very unique message.
Sorry.
Well over a
Yeah.
million students, parents, and teachers.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what we do.
Yeah,
We
sorry
don't do it.
sorry about the ruckus. There was a cat
That's fine.
knocking over some bottles.
That's okay. I fell backstage today.
Oh.
So we're cool about knocking things over.
Oh. Well, so we'll start with you, Rick. And so you're a war veteran. So
Correct.
and you've been through a lot. So could you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. 12 years ago, the vehicle I was in while I was deployed to Iraq was hit with a IED, basically just a bomb, and caught the vehicle and myself and my two buddies who were in the vehicle with me on fire. And when I escaped from the vehicle, I had to jump from the top. And when I jumped from the top, it's a long ways down. When I hit the ground, I actually broke my leg. And that's what ended up in the amputation of my right leg, and that's why I have a prosthetic now. Eventually, we talk a lot about hope and what hope stands for. Hold on, possibilities exist. Now, in that moment that I was on that ground, I tried to put the fire out, and I couldn't put the fire out, and that's truly when I gave up hope, ultimately.
Mhm.
I've never been so hopeless in my life because I accepted the fact that I was going to, perish that day. And thankfully, it was only for a second that I gave up because I ended up rolling and I fell into a canal that was there, and the water in the canal extinguished the flames. Also almost killed me because the water was filthy, but it saved my life. And a couple of my buddies found me in the canal, carried me out. Helicopters came, picked myself and my two buddies up, took us to the hospital. Unfortunately, the helicopter ride was the last time that I saw and talked to my good buddy Sergeant Luis Montez ever again. He was the soldier who was sitting right next to me in the turret of the Bradley, and passed away 7 days later on September 7th. After I got to the hospital, I was in the hospital for 6 months, and I lived in San Antonio, Texas. That's where the hospital was. But I ended up living there for 2.5 years after I got out of the hospital, just doing my rehab and recovery. And then after 3 years down there, moved back home to Windsor, New York. And 12 years later, here we are. Obviously, that's the short, very nice version of that story. But 12 years later, I never believed that I'd be in the position I'm in today.
Yeah, that's great. Well, great that you recovered and stuff. And now today you get to spread this message of hope, and that's pretty good. So could you tell us a little bit about the people around you while you were serving and how close you were to them?
Yeah, so, obviously, not obviously, but none of the people in my platoon. I had 40-some guys in my platoon, the guys that I saw every single day. None of them were blood related to me. But I considered every single one of them a brother of mine. And I also trusted them. with my life. Like, I went to work every day knowing that something might happen and knowing that my brothers would have my back if something did. And one of the keys to how tight we were is we hung out every second of every day. Not only when we were in Iraq, but even before we went to Iraq. Like, we spent as much time as we could together, and we just knew almost everything about each other. Girlfriends, wives, kids, animals, whatever. We just knew everything about each other, and that's what grew us so close.
All right, and you mentioned that you trusted them, and like you trusted them with your life, so that was a pretty strong connection that you built with them. And so there are some people out here who are civilians that they don't have people they can trust. And do either of you have suggestions on how they could build a trust network and make people make friends that they can trust and count on when they're in dark times?
Well, I mean, trust is like the ultimate. There's so many things that you have to do before somebody trusts you. And I know Tom actually talks a lot about trust, and what do you say it is? It's the
deepest form of human connection. When you think about the people you're connected to the most, typically it's the people you have the greatest amount of trust with. And trust is a funny thing. I mean, it's what bonds humans together. And, there's lots of theories on trust, but, it's, one of the things when I talk to teachers and educators about the culture and a culture of trust, you have to have safety first. The people in that group need to feel safe with each other, like they're protected by each other, like Rick was felt. And then exactly what Rick talked about. There has to be these shared moments of vulnerability where they spend time learning about each other, trusting each other. Don't like to use the same word in the sentence that we're trying to talk about, but when I open myself up and I talk about my insecurities and when I talk about the things that bother me and the things that I have issues with and the things that I'm scared of, we build trust, and that's how trust is built. And that's what most people have to, it's tough to trust someone. It's tough to make yourself vulnerable. And the definition of vulnerability is opening yourself up to attack. And if I'm going to do that to Rick and he's going to do it to me, over time, especially when we have these small shared moments of vulnerability, we're going to make connection and trust. And the only thing is, I tell young people, be careful, because trust is built over time. It's not just, we meet someone, I'm in love with you, and I trust you. And a lot of times then young people can have giant moments of shared vulnerability, especially in today's world where they share things and they believe they trust people. Sometimes it can have devastating consequences. And then trying to find that trust again, pretty darn difficult.
when that trust is broken, how do you get that back? It takes a lot of work.
I'll end with this. There's an ancient proverb that says, fire, water, and trust are lost in the wilderness with you. And, water says, if you ever lose me, just look where the greenest grass is, and that's where I'll be. And fire says, if you ever lose me, just, look across the horizon, and wherever the smoke is, that's where I'll be. And trust says, if you ever lose me, you may never find me again. So trust is a funny thing.
Mm-hmm. So, now we're going to move on to the part of the show where we talk about Rick's personal problem. So...
There's no problem, Rick.
Dude, I was on fire once. That's a pretty problem. Can you solve that for me?
I think you've solved it so far.
All right, yeah, I got that one. There are some things that I deal with.
Do you have one that's more current?
I have one that's every day. So, my job, and what I love to do, is to connect with people. And, we talk about some of this motivation stuff, like motivating people. And I think, after I get done speaking, a lot of people are motivated. My biggest problem is motivating myself. I can motivate a lot of other people, but I have a difficult time motivating myself to do things. Like, I would say one of the biggest things is I'm not going to talk about eating cheeseburgers, but I will talk about going to the gym, working out. And I know a lot of people deal with that kind of stuff, but I know what it takes to get to where I want to be in life. It's just hard to take those steps sometimes, like going to the gym.
Yeah. I think what I do to motivate myself, especially when I wake up and I don't want to go to school, is I just look in the mirror and I yell at myself and I say, hey, you're going to do this, all right? Because if you don't do this, then you're not going to get an education and you're not going to achieve your dreams. So I find it's best just to give yourself a little pep talk every once in a while.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you know something? I've never listened to myself speak in my life. I asked Tom, how do I get better at speaking? He says, speak more. Practice in front of other people. Practice in front of yourself. I can't do those things. I have a difficult time. I can make myself look like a fool in front of other people. I have a difficult time making myself look like a fool in front of myself. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But all right, I might have to have you call me in the morning and motivate me to go to the gym.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that.
Call through Tom though. Call Tom's phone and Tom will relay the message.
All right.
Deal?
Yeah. Deal. I'm gonna get you in the gym. You're gonna be ripped.
Ripped. Yeah, I don't know about ripped, man. I've never been ripped in my entire life, even when I was in great shape.
All right, now we're gonna move on to Tom. So you're a past UFC fighter, correct?
Correct.
Could you tell us a little bit about your career and how that was back when you were fighting?
Well, sure. I'll tell you this. I never competed in mixed martial arts for any kind of a job or a career. For me, I wrestled my entire life. Went to college, wrestled through college, and I just wasn't ready to stop wrestling. So I was very fortunate to be near one of the best gyms on planet Earth, just outside of Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And I just kept training, which led me to an opportunity to train or to compete on one of the biggest stages of the world, and that was in the UFC. I did a reality TV show with them, and those were all wonderful experiences. I tell everyone the most important thing is that I had great coaches. I made great connections with other tremendous athletes and thinkers. I had more philosophical discussions on the mat than maybe the amount of time I spent training. Loved talking philosophy with some of my coaches and some of my teammates, but ultimately, in the end, all of it was for one purpose, and that's to build a connection with kids. And that's what my mixed martial arts career was all about for me. As I look back, all of it was to have this hook that I could relate to kids with, and they could relate to me with. So it's kind of weird, sometimes embarrassing talking about mixed martial arts, because I never really did it for a job, for fame. I just did it because I wasn't ready to quit wrestling. So that's my career in a nutshell.
Did you have fun while you were fighting, though?
Yeah, I'm more of a training nut. Like, I like competition, but competition's scary, and it's nerve-wracking. And you're only going to compete a couple times a year, and you're going to train for 6 months to get in and compete for 15 minutes, max usually. And that's a tough thing. And if you go out there and you slip and somebody catches you, I don't want to say six months is down the drain, but that's what's going through your head the whole time. And then you got to get out there in front of thousands of people. For me, I'm a training nut. I love to be in the gym. I love to work out. So that part is extremely fun. I mean, honestly, the competition for me was always pretty stressful.
Yeah. Maybe you should take Rick with you to the gym sometime.
I've tried
Yeah,
that
you
one.
tried that one. I need you to motivate me, not Tom. Tom can't motivate me. He's tried.
So, could you tell us about why you retired and what your job is now?
Well, yeah, man, it's easy. I don't feel like I've lost a whole lot physically. Like, I hit the gym and I'm still on pace on the exercises and things where you measure your conditioning levels. But for me, man, I had to make a choice. Rick and I have spent the last 5 or 6 years on the road almost full time, and you can't do that and train in a gym at the same time. You can only do one. If you want to be good, if you want to be one of the best, and try to make a choice. And for me, there's no greater cause than getting in front of young people, teachers and parents, and spreading this message that we've created, this message of hope and taking action and helping kids that are in a pretty desperate spot.
Yeah, that's a great reason to retire from UFC fighting. So what's your personal problem, Tom?
Well, this is what I'm thinking about, man. I can't get this out of my head. I need to understand what happened in the picoseconds before the Big Bang.
That's a tough one.
Google, hurry up!
All right.
You know
So
what a picosecond is?
yes,
You know what it is?
yes. It's the
Okay.
isn't it smaller than a nanosecond?
Yeah, it's pretty small. It's like if you take a strand of hair and you're traveling at the speed of light or something like that. That's how fast it is. Like traveling across the width of a hair at the speed of light. So I'm just wondering, before the Big Bang, the picoseconds before the Big Bang, what was there?
I think just something bumped into something and they didn't get along and just boom. It just happened, you know?
That's Rick and I. That's Rick and I.
Every day, we are almost the same as the creation of the universe.
We are the
Yeah.
creation of the universe.
Hey, don't go there, man. We'll be in
It's a
trouble.
new universe.
We'll be in trouble for that one.
All right, now let me get serious with you. I got 2 quick things. I'm gonna give you a Sweethearts and Heroes one for you to think about. I'll give you my personal one, but then I'll give you one for you to think about. My switch is on 24/7.
That's a fact.
I can't turn it off. It's been that way for years. I work 7 days a week, 365 days a year. I can't sit down and watch a movie really. I can't ever relax. I pace in the house. I just can't shut it off. And most people that get to know me, they think it's really cute. Like I have a restaurant and people come to work and they're like, man, this guy's so intense. I love it. And then they spend time with me for months and they're like, I've had enough of this. Like, I can't turn it off.
I say you just talk with the people who are closest to you and just take some time for yourself and just try and put all that other stuff away. Even though it's important, you still need time for yourself sometimes, and maybe that'd be best for you right now is just to take some time off, not from doing all this, but I mean, just take
What
a
do you say?
take
Tom
a
has
spa
to
day.
say, Make the most important things the most important
Oh,
things.
yeah.
And truly, yeah, we talk about like family and faith and those things being the most important things, but really, what's the most important thing? Ourselves. We have to take care of ourselves
You do
first
have
to
to
take
take
care
care
of
of
other
yourself.
people.
You do.
So I think you answer your own question every day when you say that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to think on that, but let me give you one more to think about. Thank you for that. My biggest goal is 50 million public school students in this country. And we know, and I could give you 10 stories that happened in the last couple days. You had the chance to experience our message. It really does change and save lives. And we need your generation to get out there and to help us reach 50 million kids with this message. I don't know how to do that, but I know that kids that are affected by this message need to network and build these support circles and these trust circles, and we need your help to share this message of hope and action. So my question, my challenge is, how do we get our message in front of all the kids throughout America, especially the ones that need it?
I say you just do what you're doing now and just keep it going, and you'll reach a lot of people, and I noticed on Snapchat there was this thing going around that you put out there, send this video to everyone, and people were actually doing that and watching the video, and I heard some things about that when I told them that we were going to be doing this, and they said the video was pretty inspiring to them, and they did share it with everyone. So I think just keep doing what you're doing, and it'll eventually reach a lot of kids. So
Problem is we're doing it at a snail's pace.
yes,
When you're trying to do 50 million kids.
yeah,
So we say that we've been in front of over 1 million kids at this point. The problem is 750,000 of those kids are no longer in school. So we're back to zero almost.
yeah,
Like, it's hard to keep up with it at the pace we're going. It's only 2 of us. That's one of the biggest issues. So we need people like you, your friends, and stuff like that to share our message and to get our message in front of everyone.
yeah. So just I'll spread the word around about this video. I'm sure that it'll get a lot of views because the hype is pretty up for this video. So
Awesome.
a lot of people are looking forward to it, and I'll tell them. I'll even put in the description to share this video around and spread your positive message and just show people that there is hope and that possibilities still exist, and yeah.
That's right.
You want Rick to tell you a joke to end this, or do you have a way to end it?
Well,
Dude, I have one more question for you.
yeah,
One
go
more
ahead.
question. How much money will you give Tom to drink out of this?
I'll give you $30.
$30.
That's it.
Yes.
I've been wearing this for a year.
All right,
2 years.
He's got it filled up with something.
It's already filled up. Yeah.
Keep your $30.
What's in there?
No.
Oh, okay.
Here,
All right.
here.
Do you have a way to end this?
So the final thing we can talk about is just say your overall message you want to spread.
Rick?
The overall message I want to spread is I want every single kid in this world, I want every single person in this world to recognize that they can make a huge difference in other people's lives. Like we talked about changing and saving lives. I don't feel like there's anything bigger in this world than doing those 2 things for other people. And the reward is enormous. And you find that reward out once you do those things, once you give people hope, once you help them get through difficult things. And then it's almost addictive. Like you want to do it more and more and more because it feels great. So my thing is I want everyone to know that they can give hope to other people and that they can change and save lives just by, and we hear it all the time, 1 act of kindness, stuff like that. People don't understand. A little girl changed my life forever just by saying the word nice.
Yeah.
It's that simple sometimes.
And for me, the other half of our message is the hero part. And heroes, they jump into action. And the definition of a hero is someone that's willing to do things other people aren't willing to do. And I can't fix this. Your teachers can't fix it. Adults can't fix it. But you all, students, you know the kids that aren't treated the right way. You can name me 3 kids right now that aren't treated the right way, that are picked on, that are made fun of. You all know who they are out there. You're the ones that have to jump into action. I can't do it. You have to do it. We can inspire you. We can give you the tools, but you're the ones that have to do it. So for me, after the sweetheart and the hope piece, I say, listen, we need a lot more superheroes out there. We can't just be watching them on television and movies. We need to create real superheroes to jump into action and to change the world.
All right. Thank you. And now we're gonna close it. So if you want to say a joke, go ahead.
Dude, I don't got any jokes,
Yes, you
man.
do.
Alright, I got one joke, and it is amazing.
Alright.
So, what's a pirate's favorite letter?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
What does a pirate always say?
Oh, R.
No, not O.
R? R. R.
Oh, there you
Yeah,
go.
R. Yeah. There. That's.
Well, You think it'd be R, but it'd be the C.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Boom.
Except I made a C, but isn't it an S?
It looks like a C.
You were close. You had half of the S.
Well,
we're funny, man. We
Yeah.
can't help ourselves. We're just probably like funniest guys on the road right now.
yeah. Thank you guys for making the time to do this. I hope you enjoyed talking to me and answering my questions. And I'll let you guys watch the NCAA tournament. So
Go Cuse. Go
Yeah.
Cuse.
All right, send us the link when you're done, all right?
all right, I can do that.
And then we'll post it for you, too.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Take care.
Yep.
Yeah. Peace.
Peace out, my pineapple peeps. I hope you enjoyed this edition of How Do You Feel About That? This was by far the best episode that we've done. So, thank you. Thank you for everything so far. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this. Leave a like, share this video everywhere, and bye. Hope you enjoyed. I did.